This is it, the last Poll Hub of 2021, and we've saved some of the best data for last. Plus, Lee's fun fact gives him an opportunity to make a terrible pun. There's a tease. We won't take much of your time, so stick around. And hi, everybody. Welcome to the last Poll Hub of 2021. I'm JD Dapper.
I'm Barbara Paravallo.
And I'm Lee Merengoff.
This is the end of the year. 2021 certainly was an interesting one. And rather than reflecting...
Not much happened, Barb. Not much happened.
Well, instead of reflecting back, one of the things that we like to do at the Marist poll is ask Americans a few kind of grab bag questions about the holidays, about the coming year. So that's exactly what we did. And one of the things that we found that I thought was interesting is even though we're going into the absolutely crazy time of the end of the year. 52% of Americans said the holiday season is definitely more fun than stressful. And I thought that was a pretty positive statement, although this number has gone down since 2018. So we haven't as yet recovered from last year's difficulties, particularly around the holiday time.
Although in 2010, I just want to point out, because I think this is incredible, in 2010, 59% said it was more stressful. And it's got to be the economy in 2010, right?
Absolutely.
Can I interject here, though? Because, before we get too far down this, what's wrong?
No. Because actually, I think this is related. This question generally tends to be very much related to the economy. And if we can reflect back on 2010, we were in the midst of a very significant recession and an incredible change in the housing market. So it was a very, very stressful time. But go ahead, Lee. You were jumping in there too.
I wanted to get my 2 cents worth. Something's wrong if we're so many people, millions of people, find the holiday season to be stressful. Like, isn't it supposed? I mean, what are we doing wrong here? It almost seems like an oxymoron to say the holiday season is stressful. I don't know, just the way I react to it.
Huh?
Barb,
do you
back
know
to
what
you.
That means,
back
Jay?
to you, Barb.
You don't find it odd?
No, because it's family and gifts, and no.
And getting together,
right.
And oh my goodness.
Travel.
And those are all bad things. These are bad things.
No, they're not bad. They are stressful. Stress isn't a bad thing by definition.
Oh.
There can be good stress.
Yeah, and we feel hurried and like we have too many things on the list to accomplish in the time we have available. So yeah, it becomes stressful.
So it's not fun.
Well, no, but it can also be a very enjoyable time because we get to see people we may not have seen for a while, and certainly, hopefully, this holiday season we are able to do that. One of the things that was also interesting, and of course, this was a question that we've never asked before because it really didn't apply, but we wanted to know whether people felt comfortable celebrating with people who were unvaccinated or whether that really didn't make a difference. It certainly has divided many families. So we did ask about it. And so, not surprisingly, there's an enormous partisan divide as well.
Yeah, so 52% of Americans said they would gather mostly with people who are vaccinated. 42% said they'll gather, either way. It doesn't really matter. And then there's don't plan to gather at all. There's 3% that aren't going to have any party, so that's kind of sad. But anyway, 79% of Democrats are saying mostly with people who are vaccinated. 27% of Republicans say the same thing. So there is a dramatic, again, partisan shift and divide as there is in all of these questions. So not really surprised though, Lee, right? Based on everything we've seen in the 18 months or the 20, almost 24 months now since the pandemic started.
Wouldn't it be nice in the coming year if we could all resolve that the Democrats and Republicans would think the same about certain topics? But anyway, shopping, here you go. Online shopping. Barb, the UPS and postal service constantly coming up to your door and my door at home, boxes and boxes and boxes. What's all this about?
Yeah, I do very much appreciate the Amazon, FedEx, USPS, and the UPS folks who do keep who do keep me in everything that I need. There was a significant increase last year in the number of people who did holiday shopping online, but it seems almost that we're getting to a little bit more of a normal, because this year 37% of Americans say that they will buy all or most of their holiday gifts. And these are certainly Americans who do purchase gifts and celebrate the holidays. And so that is up from that is down from last year, I should say, because over half of all Americans bought most or all of their products online during the quarantine and the pandemic last year. But I've been an online shopper since online shopping was possible. We were actually asking that question for quite some time, and thought it would be interesting, just as a throwback. In 1999, now I think the web browsers had just been invented in 95. So in 1999, less than 1% of Americans used online shopping to buy their gifts.
All or most. 20%, 19% bought some.
But it's a phenomenon of the century, really.
Actually, what's interesting in that is the none. I was focusing on all and most, but we asked the question: do you buy all or most, some or none? And the none number, which in 1999 was 81% for the reasons you just discussed, Barb, but that came down to 18% in 2020, but that didn't bounce back. So that came back a little bit to 22% are not going to buy anything online. But that continues the trend. I think the trend that we saw really change last year, really accelerate to online shopping because of the pandemic, I think is a trend that will continue despite the kind of bounce back to people going back into stores. Now, the number that will not buy anything online seems to be getting down towards about 1 in 5 and continuing to decrease. So I thought that was interesting too, as a trend story.
I accept presents that were bought online or in stores.
Oh, you're so good.
So lame.
Well, I think one thing that's very interesting is that at the start of online shopping, the biggest concern and reason people would give for not doing it was privacy and not wanting to share financial information and credit card numbers online. Somehow Americans seem to have
got past that, huh?
And I think now the reasons given, still some say, privacy and not wanting to share financial information, but more of it is just access and the ability to feel comfortable using tools and devices to be able to do that. So there has been a shift there as well.
Yeah, the last question we asked is do you want to be Debbie Downer, Lee, like you were in the last episode? Debbie Downer part 2. So we asked the question: are you generally optimistic or pessimistic about what lies ahead in 2022? And we've asked this question in the past. You go back to 2009, in December of 2009. Now remember, the economy was, had been in tatters, and 63% were more optimistic about what was coming in that case. That would have been in 2010. That number has fluctuated between 63 and then in the 60s in 2018, 2019. It was 56% in December 2022. It's down to 49% this year. 47% are more pessimistic. We're very close to that kind of tipping point where more people are pessimistic about the future than optimistic. Surprised? What does it say? What do you think?
No, it's a lot of trouble out there. And, we've, during the course of the year, we certainly have identified a lot of areas that people are worried about and uncertain about and anxious over. And I think that's, it's picked up in these numbers.
But Barb, when you look at the economy, which is actually doing very well despite the inflation numbers, when you look at the progress of coronavirus, yes, Omicron is a threat, and there's, we continue to have, additional lockdowns or restrictions and stuff. Does it really look worse to like 50-50? It's almost a split, right? Almost a split. That half of the people think that things are going to get worse in 2022?
I think part of it is the uncertainty. I think that people tend to be more pessimistic when they are more uncertain. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty, certainly, on COVID. We think, we've turned the corner, but, Omicron, has kind of given us, all pause. And also, I think there's a lot of uncertainty about the economy and work in general. So the inflationary numbers we have seen have had a very significant impact on people's mood, people's understanding of how, what the future is going to hold. And I think that uncertainty probably speaks volumes to the mood that many of us are having as we focus on 2022.
Wow. It came around either slowly or fast, depending on your perspective. But it seems it was a long year, but it seems kind of odd that we're there now. Anyway, fun fact time for the last time this year is whether you're likely to stay up till midnight on New Year's Eve or not. Now, I've been given this pun that Jay has tossed my way.
Get it right now. Okay. Get it right.
And that is either an age-old question, are you going to stay up to midnight, or an old age question.
Yay! You did it.
I got it. Okay.
So these numbers from 2019, incidentally.
2019.
Before you read them off, yeah.
53% said they were very likely, and 20% somewhat likely, and then it falls down to not quite a third, saying they're not very likely or not at all likely to stay up for the moment of the ball dropping at Times Square.
Yeah, I always do. I can barely keep my eyes open, but, it's always a family tradition to watch the celebration in Times Square in New York. Not to be there. I've never been there, never ventured into the crowds, and certainly would not be my choice this year either. But I've always watched the celebration and the ball coming down to bring in the new year.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm thinking Jay DiDapper's already about 2 hours of sleep by then.
No, actually, so I led you astray in the pre-show. Actually, I'm often in bed at midnight, but I'm awake, and then good night, boom, Happy New Year. So that's it. But that's fairly recent. I mean, I've had a long career of being up well past midnight on New Year's Eve, including the one time I was in Times Square because I was reporting on it. Oh. And our show gets off the air at 11:30. I have nowhere to go. I can't get out. The Times Square is a frozen zone. So I'm stuck. All of my friends are downtown at a bar. I'm like, well, I'm not getting there. I cannot get out. So I went into the middle of Times Square where the cops were. There's nothing, the middle of Times Square is people.
Because you had a press pass. You had a press pass.
But the middle of Times Square is blacktop. It's not people. And so we're standing there, surrounding the cops. And so I was like, okay, this is the best view I will ever have of the ball. I'm underneath the ball dropping. And I've never done that again, and I have no interest in doing that again. But it was fun. Happy New Year.
I'm glad you got that off your chest. Merry Christmas.
That sounds the best way to have that kind of experience.
Yeah.
But how about the rest of the team?
Everybody else is on mute. I hope they're not going to stay shy.
Yeah, because you're talking to the over 45 crowd, and how's the under 45 crowd going to celebrate the new year?
I will probably stay awake, partly because of tradition, like Barb. It's been a family tradition to stay up until midnight, but also because our oldest, who is now 8, decided when he was 4 that there was no way he was going to sleep before midnight. So oftentimes it's 12:30, 1 o'clock, and he is wide awake while the rest of us just want to go to sleep.
But he probably sleeps till noon the next day.
Energizer bunny. Nope.
He's 8.
He motorizes around.
Casey, what do you do?
I, for some reason, have like a New Year's Eve curse. Something always goes wrong on New Year's Eve, so I try to be in bed before midnight.
But then when the fire alarms go off, that's when you have to get up after midnight? Is that the kind of curse or what?
Nope. Just I've been stranded on like backwoods on New Year's Eve. Like terrible things happen to me on New Year's Eve. But we usually are out doing something that ends before midnight.
Okay, so basically you're not even getting out of bed on New Year's Eve.
And Ashley, I think we want to put a note in the file for next year's final episode to have an entire segment on Casey's New Year's Eve experiences, because they sound fascinating.
So Ashley, what are you doing on December 31st as the countdown goes from 10 to 0?
I always stay up. It's always been a family tradition, and it also, like, I'm usually like with my friends, sometimes we'll have like breakfast for dinner, just a couple of us get together. So we always stay up, and then we do the scramble with like a minute left to like go find the New Year's like broadcast online and then put it on. So it's always a scramble because we forget that exists. We're like, oh, the ball's gonna drop. Wait, we need to get it on. So it's always fun. And we'll have like, sometimes we'll do like a sleepover, just like everyone stays at the house and we're just like, it's always a fun time. So a good start to the year.
Yeah, Martel, now, are you going to be in Hawaii? Because if you're in Hawaii, I'll tell you how it goes. Because it's going to be about 6 o'clock where you are, or something like that. When the ball came down, it hit, and we're Happy New Year's. What are you up to?
So I'll actually be back on the East Coast in New Jersey. And typically, we're always up past 12, everyone in my family, but we usually find our way to a diner. There's a lot of 24-hour diners in New Jersey, and it's a fun place to spend it.
Yeah, that would be my speed. I must say that I can't recall the time I was asleep before midnight. So it doesn't have anything to do with New Year's, but I'm just a night owl. And, to all of our audience out there, listeners, I hope that this is a healthy year for everybody. That stays paramount on my mind. And I don't know if you guys have anything you want to say as we usher out.
Yes, we wish everybody all the best in 2022.
Happy New Year.
That'll do it for Poll Hub this week. Poll Hub is a production of the Marist Poll at Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Mary Griffith is our executive producer.
Casey Schaff is our production supervisor.
The Poll Hub team includes Ashley Marcinek and Marcello Bettman. If you enjoy Poll Hub, please consider leaving a review. Positive reviews help other like-minded listeners find us.
If you'd like to learn more about polling and survey science, check out the Marist Poll Academy, our free online learning portal.
If you have questions, tweet them at us at Marist Poll. Finally, wherever you listen to Poll Hub, there is a subscribe button.
Click it, and the latest episode will be ready for you in your podcasting app as soon as it's released. We'll see you next time.